You probably saw the news over the last couple weeks, but Cracker Barrel tried to do a rebrand and all heck broke loose.
I will say I was looking this morning on Twitter, and some of the competition is trying to jump on board. We've got a full screen I called up from Steak and Shake, kind of trashing what they were doing. I've seen a couple more they posted since, but sometimes people want to change things just to put their own personality on things. Cracker Barrel, their goal is just to delete the personality altogether. Blah, blah, blah. They say at Steak and Shake, we take pride in our history, our families, and American values. All are welcome, and we will never market ourselves away from our past in a cheap effort to gain the approval of trend seekers.
I'm breaking down the timeline. I'm breaking down what happened, and I'm going to give you suggestions if you're running a business and you're trying to rebrand and what you should do at the end. So stay tuned. We are breaking down the Cracker Barrel issue right now. Cracker Barrel made an attempt to drop their old logo to do a modern refresh. Now, this is something that a lot of companies have done. They have dropped their old logo for these new minimalist logos that they're putting out to the public right now. This is what Cracker Barrel's logo used to look like. You probably remember it right here. And this is what Cracker Barrel's proposed new logo would look like right here. You tell me, which one do you like? Which one do you prefer? Which one draws you in? Which one has more character? Well, the people have basically spoken. What they've done is they've taken a look at the new logo and they've said, you're removing all the nostalgia from Cracker Barrel. We want the old one back. But before we go down to the timeline of how this stuff happened, I want to just take you through like a change in the concept, okay, about what happened at the Cracker Barrel and kind of where the company itself is at the moment. Cracker Barrel has been growing like wildfire since the 1990s, up until about last year, when their growth in terms of top line revenue only grew about 1% more than the previous year. So from about $3.4 billion to about $3.5 billion. However, their net income fell from 23 to 24 from about $99 million to about $40.9 million. So their net income about halved over that year period. And so the executives thought it might be time for a change, a refresh to something a little different. Here's what happened. On August 18th, 2025, there was a soft reveal where there was a press release from Cracker Barrel that talked about new menu items and that Cracker Barrel was going to simplify their menu and there was going to be no mascot and there was going to be something more simpler offering. Fast forward to Thursday, October 21st. The new logo for Cracker Barrel showed up publicly. So online chatter of this new logo began to build. So remember that logo I showed you earlier? Here it is again. That logo now was in the public sphere. And when people saw this online, people started going nuts.
And people hate these redesigns so much that their stock has fallen 14% in a single day today.
On that Thursday, August 21st, online chatter went crazy. That's when you started hearing about Cracker Barrel all over the place, from social media, X, Facebook, all over. And then there was repeated feedback to executives about the logo. And the CEO of Cracker Barrel even went on TV with Michael Strahan talking about the logo change and what it actually meant. Here's what she said.
I want you to tell us about the redesign of Cracker Barrel and some of your response to the criticism.
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. It's great to be here. And if I can, I want to give a quick shout out to the 70,000 team members who bring the Cracker Barrel brand to life for our guests every single day. So to the remodels. I think what's important is that we are listening to our guests. We're doing this all for them. What they've said is they love the new seating. We're adding in booths, making the chairs more comfortable, putting in new lighting, brightening up the paint color. But what's important is things that people love about Cracker Barrel, the soul of Cracker Barrel, is not changing. The rocking chairs are still there, the fireplace is there, the peg game, all the things that make Cracker Barrel, the vintage decor, it's still there and it's working. The results affirm that we're headed in the right direction.
And this is part of a multi-year transformation of the chain. What else can the customers expect to change?
Yeah, well, remember, the heart and soul of Cracker Barrel is going to stay the same. And so today we're actually launching a new campaign called All the More, which really highlights how people feel about Cracker Barrel. It's bigger than just a meal. We've got a retail shop. You're going to get great country hospitality with our scratch-made food in our restaurants, and that's really what this campaign celebrates. So we've enlisted a little bit of help from a guy named Jordan Davis. Maybe you've heard of him. He's got a new single and album out, and he's in our ad and is the voice of it as well. And it really, again, just highlights those things that make Cracker Barrel Cracker Barrel.
So after about 3 or 4 days of online chatter from the public, Cracker Barrel decides to respond. Now, they decide to respond on Monday, August 25th, 2025, where they say, basically, we hear you, but we're staying the course. So after about a weekend of backlash, 3 or 4 days from like Thursday-ish to Sunday, they basically come out and they said that, yeah, we could have done a better job, but things need to change. We're going to keep it the same. Tuesday morning, August 26, 2025. The president weighs in, like he often does, with a post on Truth Social urging Cracker Barrel to revert back to the old logo. Because, for whatever reason, he felt like there needed to be a change there as well. Now, let's go to the evening of August 26, 2025, where Cracker Barrel actually did a flip-flop. So from Thursday to Tuesday, Cracker Barrel flip-flopped. It scrapped the new logo, and they came out saying that they decided they're going to keep the same old logo just like it was before. The old man in the logo, Uncle Herschel, he was going to remain the same.
Cracker Barrel cracking under pressure, abandoning their newly redesigned logo following backlash from loyal customers.
What happened to Grandpa?
The restaurant chain, known for its Southern-style cooking and comfort food, announcing that it will go back to its beloved old-timer logo featuring Uncle Herschel leaning on that barrel. The change coming just days after the company defended its $700 million rebranding campaign. The CEO appearing here on GMA just last week.
The soul of Cracker Barrel is not changing. The rocking chairs are still there, the fireplace is there, the peg game, the vintage decor, it's still there and it's working.
The company announcing it would lean into a more sleek, modern, minimalist design. But that logo change was not going over well with customers or investors. Cracker Barrel stock plunging following the reveal, wiping out nearly $100 million in value after the rebrand was announced. President Trump even getting involved, urging the company to go back to its old logo. And now, this morning, Cracker Barrel says it's listening and returning to the old-timer. Customers appear to be rejoicing.
They're ditching the new logo and going back to the old man in the barrel.
In fact, Cracker Barrel is saying in a statement this morning, we said we would listen, and we have. Our new logo is going away, and our old timer will remain. They continued on that as a proud American institution, our 70,000 hardworking employees look forward to welcoming you to our table soon.
Oh, I forgot to tell you. Thursday, when they announced the new logo, and then there was that severe backlash, the market value of Cracker Barrel tanked about $100 million the very next day. They got obliterated. So what does this tell us about how you should rebrand if you're rebranding? Let me tell you a story quickly about how I rebranded when I rebranded my fitness business that I ended up franchising into another brand. The first thing I did was I explained to my customers that I was going to be rebranding and I was going to be rebranding because I wanted and needed to scale my business and to offer other people an opportunity to purchase kind of the model that they've enjoyed themselves. So here's what I did. I invited my customers to create a focus group and I presented them with two things. In this case, the name of the company wasn't changing for Cracker Barrel, but in my case, it was. I was changing both the name of the company and the look of the logo and the brand. So what I did was I convened a focus group of my current paying, most trusted and loyal members. and I presented them with several names that I approved that I thought were pretty good. And they decided that they wanted to be a part of this process as well. So after presenting them with the names, they chose the name. After presenting them with the different logo types, they chose the logo. So my customers were intimately involved in the rebranding process of my business. My most loyal customers who spent the most with me had a unique look into how I was going to actually redesign my business. Why is that important? Well, because for future sales to the general public, I wanted to make sure that I attracted the same type of customer into my business that was paying me top dollar on a regular basis. Branding goes with loyalty. In fact, loyalty is a part of branding. And in order to inspire loyalty around your brand, you have to get your customers involved. You need to get your customers' input on what you're doing if you're a community-based business like Cracker Barrel is. Cracker Barrel is about community, right? You go in there, it's like you're sitting at the whole aesthetic design is like you're sitting at someone's country kitchen table, and there's a whole bunch of stuff on the walls, and there's those old kitchen chairs you feel like are going to break that you went like when you went to your grandmother's house. That's what it was supposed to be like, an old log cabin community, and everyone's surrounded by that brand and that community. When I was doing my rebrand, I invited my community, like I told you, to be a part of the whole rebranding process. The result was when I actually made the change, the switch over both logo and name, all the stakeholders involved that were legitimately involved, paying money, and who would continue to support the business actually were excited about everything that was actually coming down the pike. And what did that do for me in my sales? Well, it gave me a better presence. It made me connect with like-minded consumers in the marketplace who would also be individuals who would pay to actually come in. And it also allowed me to be able to tell people who would ultimately buy into the brand or try to inquire about the brand, how is it that you came up with this concept and this name? You see, the concept I came up with, the name and the fuel behind it came from my customers. And I can tell them that this was a customer member driven change. That's something that everyone needs to do. If you're in business and you're rebranding, you need to get your customers involvement. You need to listen to them. And in Cracker Barrel's case, they eventually did it, but initially they were like, I don't know. You can't just make a wholesale change all the time. Sometimes you just need to change pieces. There are times when you need to take a left turn and actually do a whole full rebrand, especially if there's some catastrophic public relations issue that requires you to make an adjustment. But otherwise, what you need to do is you need to make incremental changes, explain those changes, and get your customers involved with things that come up. So there's the lesson. The lesson is, in business, professional arrogance gets you killed. We've seen it with Blockbuster. We've seen it with other Toys R Us. We've seen it with other companies who tried to stay the course, Kodak, and tried to continue to do the same thing over and over while the market was shifting and the customers wanted something else. Don't be too arrogant about what you want in your business. Instead, build a community of people who want to buy from you and who will always buy from you. It's those customers that fuel your growth. Your customers are the lifeline, and sales are the lifeline of your business. Get them involved, engage them, and you can never go wrong. I'm Micah with the Common Sense Show, and I'll talk to you later.